What's up, everyone? It's Adam here with a new episode of Inside the Steel Cage. We've been on a bit of a hiatus to kind of enjoy the summer and do some other stuff we haven't had time for. So, this episode, I had a chance to go to Chicago over the weekend to hit up Starrcast and all out. Overall, it was a good weekend. We'll start with Starrcast. So it's kind of a last minute decision for me to go to the convention side of things. It ran Thursday through Sunday, and the admission was $30 for one day, and if I remember right, 70 for the weekend. With that, though, you're only granted to the collector's corner, which is where vendors and the non-AEW talent was housed at. So, overall, with the flash sale, I did take advantage of that to get a few autographs and one photo op. Which made those about half off, admissions excluded from the flash sale. So I got into town around noon Friday, headed straight to the convention. I had purchased a Tennille Dashwood meet and greet, which was just a photo with her at her table and a signed item, either one of her 8x10s or if you brought one of your own. She is originally scheduled to sign from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And I didn't realize because I was on the flight, so, no real good internet or anything, that her time had actually been extended from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So when I got there, I was able to take care of that. Unfortunately, she didn't have a line. She, did have some shirts and items like that for sale as well. I'm not sure why she didn't have a line. She's been doing a lot of indie shows over the past few years, so it could just be, I hate to use the term oversaturation, but going to several conventions, that's kind of what's referred to when you see the same guests at every convention. But if you have a chance, she's super nice. She'll interact with the fans, have a good conversation with them. So if you get a chance, definitely take it to meet Tennille. I had also purchased the Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard photo op. It was with the NWA Tag Team belt. And it was also advertised as having the old WTBS backdrop. Unfortunately, it didn't have the backdrop. They had a Fight TV one. Not a big deal, but it would have been pretty fucking cool to have the WTBS one. The way the line flowed, there was no volunteer out there directing traffic, so people were kind of combined in one line. And was actually two separate lines. They had the Arn and Tully line and then the Lucha Brothers line because they were immediately after the Brain Busters. So once the staff member came out and separated the lines, it was pretty easy. Guy came through, scanned the QR code on your phone or your printed ticket, gave you a little voucher that you gave to the photographer. While in line, they were handing out the cards for your digital download, which was a nice touch. You didn't have to worry about picking up a printed photo and carrying it around all day. Once in the room, the line flowed a little slow. I think that's because they were signing 8x10, so they had them kind of take a little break and pre-sign a few of them to hand folks who weren't bringing their own items, which I think is a good idea to kind of speed the line up a little bit that way. Once you had the photo, it was uploaded on the website immediately, so within no more than 5 minutes, you could if you want to leave and print your photo, you could, or boom, it's right there to post on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever you want. I had also pre-purchased the Joey Ryan meet and greet for 3 p.m. So the Tennille, the Brainbusters, and Joey Ryan I'd purchased during the flash sale, and I had held off on several others because of the overlap of times. What it is, the way Starrcast works is they rotate talent in and out. So earlier I said Tennille was scheduled from 2 to 5, Joey Ryan was scheduled 3 to 6. Darby Allin, I believe he's originally scheduled for Friday or Thursday only, and he did a second set of signings on Friday. Best Friends were scheduled from 3 to 6 as well. So once I kind of knew the layout and what type of time I had, I ended up purchasing at the show the Darby Allin and Best Friends meet and greet. Now, the way the collector's corner is set up, I want to say there's maybe 10 vendors. A lot of empty tables due to the rotation of talent. You know, you'll have, say, Medusa at this table, and then 2 tables down, Jimmy Hart could be there an hour later, just depending on how they staggered things. So, being someone that's worked at a few conventions and attended several, it was odd because the collector's corner was maybe the size of the living room in an apartment, depending on how big the apartment is. But it just seemed odd because you had maybe 10 vendors, some had toys, High Spots was one of them. You had Wrestling with Clay, which they had these really neat clay plates or mugs, vases that they made with wrestlers on them. They had a really cool Roddy Piper one that too scared to ask the price, especially since I was flying home and didn't want to deal with him having to ship it or anything. So the vendor room, if you're not in line for autographs, maybe 10 minutes in there, depending on how invested you are in the vendors and what you're looking for. They did have wrestling tattoos there. I believe that's the name of the company, and they were doing on-site tattoos, which that's nice to see, but I was in the market for a tattoo this weekend. I was just kind of taking in the scenery and seeing what the convention was because it was advertised as, or not really advertised, but I've heard people use the term the Wizard World of Wrestling. So I was expecting maybe closer to 40 vendors. Overall, I had a good time, but the convention itself was a little disappointment. The talent was great. You know, they had time to talk to fans. It wasn't just a here's your autograph, you're done. The longest lines I saw for Friday and Saturday were Medusa, Jimmy Hart, I believe Fat Ass Massa had a good draw. CM Punk's line was insane for his meet and greet and photo op. Mick Foley's was insane for his meet and greet and photo op. And the Lucha Brothers, I believe the Lucha Brothers photo op was from 2:30 till 3, maybe 2:30 till 3:30. A buddy of mine who had done the Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler op said when he left that room, the Lucha Brothers were still going at 4 p.m. So it wasn't bad. It just, there's some things they could improve on. I like panels only being for VIP. that just seems kind of like a nickel and dime thing. Like, every convention I've gone to, VIP usually gets a couple rows of seating, and then it's whoever has a ticket can get in. Now, I don't know, because I've primarily done horror and comic book shows, if wrestling fans are more rabid for panels and that's why they limit it to VIP, or if it's just to not worry about overfilling the room, maybe, or to guarantee a crowd. Not sure. I did like that there wasn't a ton of staff or volunteers. Sometimes you go to shows, and if it's a slow day or just downtime during the day, you see a lot of people kind of standing around doing nothing. So I think the fact that they limit their staff and volunteers is kind of a nice touch. Everyone I talked to knew where to go. The signage they had worked well. The only signage I didn't see was when you come in from the back or the side entrance, there's no signs where the check-in was, but once I talked to a couple of people, it wasn't that hard to find. So overall, it's a decent con. If they didn't stagger times, I'd probably only been there an hour max. They do bring in good talent that may not be accessible everywhere. I know living in Columbus, Ohio, like the closest Joey Ryan comes is Pittsburgh or Cleveland, and that's a 2 to 3 hour drive one way. So it's kind of nice to have a lot of talent centralized in one location. And for the second half of this episode, we're going to discuss All Out. I got to the arena, I want to say around 3:30 p.m. I checked out part of the pre-party that Flip Gordon was doing. It was Flip Gordon's All Out pre-party, I believe. I believe Pro Wrestling Tees also had a hand in that. And it was a short walk from the arena, maybe a 5-minute walk to the beer garden. They had food trucks set up. They had a vendor booth for Pro Wrestling Tees. Flip Gordon was there, Brian Cage, Brian Pillman Jr., they were all walking around. And Chris Van Vliet was interviewing Colt Cabana. They had a pretty good crowd there. I know where I was, I could barely see the stage where the interview was happening. I had stayed there maybe half an hour or so and walked over to the arena. And as I waited in line at the arena, people just continuously showing up. I think people started lining up at the arena at like 2 p.m., if not earlier. So by the time the doors opened at 5, you had most of the 12 to 13,000 in attendance in line ready to go. Once inside, pretty easy process. I was going to hit the merch booth. I didn't because the line was insane. That means I missed out on the event shirt. I did order one from Pro Wrestling Tees, but it doesn't have the back print. You know, you win some, you lose some. But once I filmed my show, I was in the upper level, had a good view. Around 6 p.m., the buy-in kicked off with a 21 women casino battle royale. Now, the way that works is there's a suit of cards drawn, and if I remember right, 5 women come out for that suit. Not too familiar with all the talent for the Battle Royal. It was a good match. I like that they're giving Nyla Rose a push. I don't want to say they're making her like a Chyna or a Nia Jax, or I think they're kind of letting her do her own thing, but showing that she's a dominant force of the women's division. What kind of sucked, the PA system was kind of quiet, so you couldn't hear the names being announced. This means like missing like Tennille Dashwood being announced, Brandy Rhodes, Jazz, Teal Piper. Like some of them I picked up on, but when you have an arena that full and people talking, you tend to miss some things. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch that on TV. The next match was Private Party against Angelico and Jack Evans. It's a good match. A lot of good spots, I think. I like that Private Party got over and got the win, and that they did kind of a heel turn with Evans and Angelico. That way, like right now, it seems like Dark Order's the only heel tag team, so that kind of adds to the factor of the division. It's not everyone's kind of a face, and then you have one heel tag team. It's kind of giving like creative direction, I think, for what they're going to do on TV. The main show kicked off with SoCal Uncensored, which is Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky. And they faced Jurassic Express, which is Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt, and Jungle Boy. Overall, that's a fun match. Both teams are over with the crowd. A lot of fun jokes being made about some of the moves and potentially injuring Marco Stunt because of his size. But he's fun to watch. Like, I like that they're giving people a chance that you wouldn't necessarily see on Ring of Honor or on WWE or even Impact for that matter. The all-inclusive factor is great. I know a lot of people are kind of mixed on it, but have fun with it. Like, just sit back and enjoy it. And, SCU took home the victory, but at the end of the match, they raised the hands of Jurassic Express as well, kind of mutual admiration between the teams, and that's good to see because, like I said, fans love both of them, so that kind of sets up the sportsmanship aspect of it. Kind of found it odd they did this match as the second match of the main show, but it was Pac, I don't know, they sat both ways, versus Omega. This was probably my favorite match of the night next to the hardcore match. I like the fact that they put Pac over because I think people kind of forgot about him when he didn't show up for Double or Nothing. So they're kind of like, yeah, he's not coming, he's over in England doing his thing, and with Moxley canceling, this up kind of a good match. I think it's gonna have Pac play a huge role in the company, or at least as a heel. A lot of people booed at the end of the match, which I loved. It shows he got a little heat with the audience. And, if you get a chance, watch that match. That's a must-see match of the night. Next up, we had the Cracker Barrel hardcore match, Jimmy Havoc, Darby Allin, and Joey Janela. Love you sick fuck chants, a lot of holy shit chants. Not sure how Darby Allin didn't die doing a coffin drop with a Cracker Barrel onto the steel steps. Props to that dude, he's fun to watch. Joey Janela's fun to watch. Not too familiar with Jimmy Havoc, so don't really have an opinion on him. Constantly say it's the first match I saw a guy have thumbtacks poured into his mouth and duct tape shut. Darby Allin had a skateboard with tacks on the bottom, and he basically dropped in on Joey Janela's back and rolled off of it. So it's a pretty crazy match. Fans of hardcore matches will love this. It's definitely not your Attitude Era barbed wire kendo stick ECW style match. And it's kind of like, I love and hate it because the potential for injury is so great. Even though there's professionals, injuries still happen. So, it's nice to see that people are kicking hardcore up a notch and doing different things with it, but it's also hoping for the best and no one gets hurt. After that, we had Dark Order versus Best Friends. I'm not too familiar with Dark Order. I know a lot of people are hyped for them. Loved what I saw in this match. Best Friends did what they do best. Like the fact they put Dark Order over Best Friends for the win. And that set up Orange Cassidy making an appearance to save the day. And that's one person I didn't take advantage of. The meet and greets was freshly squeezed. So it's my one regret from the weekend. After that match was Rio versus Hikaru Shida. Most fans took that as an opportunity to get up, stretch, go to the bathroom, get food, beverages, whatever. Not familiar with either of these women. I thought it was a good match. Rio got the win. She'll be facing Nyla Rose on October 2nd for the premiere of AEW on TNT for the women's title. Definitely gonna keep my eye on their women's division because it has a lot of potential to be something good. It's just, I don't really know much of the talent outside of like Allie, Britt Baker, Brandy, Awesome Kong. So I'm kind of curious to see what they do and how they grow that talent. Next, we had Cody Rhodes versus Shawn Spears. Spears had Tully Blanchard in his corner. Cody came out with Brandy, Pharaoh, and MJF. A lot of people were confused why MJF was there. And DDP was in his corner too. And of course, Tully made a fuss saying you can only keep one person out, and he chose MJF. I don't really follow the YouTube series a lot, the being the Elite series. I've seen promos at AEW's posted of MJF saying he wants to kill Shawn Spears. I think they overdid Earl Hebner warning in MJF. Like, I get why they were doing it. It turned the refs back so Tully could interfere. At one point, it led to Arn Anderson coming out and giving Shawn Spears a spine buster. Once Arn walked to the back, Tully is kind of following him back with a "what the hell, why'd you do that" type look on his face. So, I don't know, I think they teased a potential stab in the back from MJF. Like, anyone that's a fan of this style wrestling or super indies or the indies knows MJF's character as someone that's MJF only cares about MJF. So they over teased that a little bit. I think they were trying to get fans to pop and then be outraged that it didn't happen. Kind of hoped it would happen, but I'm sure it will down the road, so we'll see what they do with that. After that, we had the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers in a ladder match for the AAA titles. I like both teams, but this match didn't really do much for me. It's a good match, but I just kind of feel like we've seen this match several times, whether it's the Bucks, the Lucha Brothers, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian. The only thing that really made me clinch was because Nick Jackson was on ladder and got pushed, supposed to go through 2 tables. He got caught on the ropes and missed one of the tables and fell through the bottom one. Luckily, he's okay, but it's a scary thing to see. AEW's not perfect, WWE's not perfect. Shit happens. Luckily, it wasn't anything worse than what it was, but man, that was definitely an ass-puckering moment if I'd seen one. Overall, the crowd loved the match. They popped for it. Just wasn't my thing. And finally, for the AEW title, we have Hangman Page against Chris Jericho. Phenomenal match. There were a couple spots it looked like Page may have overshot. I forget what move it was, but he jumped off the side of the ring and hit Jericho, and it looked like he may have overshot and landed a little rough. Jericho had the Crimson Mask going on. That's always fun to see. They kind of the back and forth control of the match. It wasn't all one-sided. While I would have loved to have seen Page walk away with the strap, it makes sense for them to give Jericho the belt. He's name recognition. They'll draw in casual fans. Once you have them in and checking out the program, I hate to say it because, WCW did that with guys like Hogan and the Scott Hall, Kevin Nash thing. I think if AEW limits to just 1 or 2 names, they'll draw in those casual fans. I think they'll be fine. There were a few botches, Darby Allin walking out, they flashed Jimmy Havoc's name. Shit happens. I'm excited to see what they do on TV. Overall, this was definitely one of their better events. While Fight for the Fallen and Fyter Fest kind of seemed hit and miss with most people, I think they do the big pay-per-views well. I think once they get set up on TV, the smaller events will be done well. The only thing I get tired of is the close 2 counts. When you have like 10 of those a match, it kind of takes away from it. You're like, okay, we're going to count 2 again. He's going to jump up. I'd say if they'd have more back and forth, limit the 2 counts, it'll only grow from there. But, if you haven't checked it out, see if you can, I'm sure it's still on Bleacher Report to get the pay-per-view, and they give you unlimited viewings. If you can, definitely check out the hardcore match, the Kenny Omega Pac match, the Cody Spears match, and the Hangman Page versus Jericho match. I think those were the highlights of the night. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Inside the Steel Cage.